Hello, hello.
What's up, Ian?
Hello, Ian.
Good, man. How are you?
Ian, did you
Hey
upgrade?
there.
Did you upgrade there?
Yes, the whole studio is different.
Yeah. What's going on?
I'm upgrade. I told you I was going to upgrade. It just took me a while.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
looks good.
Why can't I hear you guys?
Mhm.
I can't hear a damn thing.
Are you here?
It's really.
Maybe your volume's down. Check your volume.
Just did that. Let me have a look.
All right.
So real quick, did you guys see the controversy with the Sean Ray Palumbo interview?
I just came too late. The interview was taken down, so
Yeah.
all I did read is the comments, from people who saw it.
I saw it. I saw it before it was taken down. Yeah. And then
What say?
basically he bashed Sean quite a bit, and Shawn Rhoden quite a bit, and basically was talking about how it's not the IFBB's fault, you know, keeping him on a suspension. He was a former drug user. Now, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was said something about he was a former drug user.
Well, he was kind of hitting at the point that he still was doing drugs too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And he says he was he had some heart issues. His apparently Sean's roommate confirmed to him that, you know, he was having some health issues prior to this. So
Yeah, I hope he knows what he's talking about, because otherwise these are extreme claims.
yeah, he really went real low, man. He pulled up a lot of stuff, which was, you know, which all his close friends said that was just kind of like BS. Talking about his financial situation and how he was like, it's just a lot of low blows. It's just too much. Even if it was facts, which it wasn't, it's just too much too soon. Right after the guy's death, and you're bashing him, and it was just pathetic, man.
Yeah, I was just having dinner with Sean 10 days ago. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you know, what's the point of, you know, what I mean, regardless of the fact he's gone. So what's the point of taking low blows? What do you get out of that? My point, you're just trying to get, you know, that's pathetic. You're right, Ryan. I mean, you're just trying to get viewers. You're trying to, you know, kick his family when he's down. Regardless of what happened, and if it was mistakes or whatever, who the hell cares?
Yeah,
that's not the point. You know, that's not what you got to make a show around and real. This is why this happened, and because your fault, and so on and so forth. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Very disrespectful, in my opinion.
Exactly.
do we have any details as to where he was found or anything like that?
They said he died in his sleep, right? Is that inaccurate that he had a heart attack?
That's what I heard.
Was he at home? Because I hadn't seen any of that yet. They hadn't said anything.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Now, what happened in 2020? Did he try to go to the Arnold, and did he get denied the Arnold because of health reasons, or is because the IFBB said no?
No, he had ulcers. He had real bad ulcers that year, I believe so. And then what year was that?
I think it was 20.
20. Oh no, 2020 was it? I think he was on the I believe he was on the posters. The Arnold Classic, they were pushing it that he was going to be in, and like I guess like last minute they denied him. Said no.
Okay. Yeah, I know they were talking about that, whether or not that was the issue or not. So
yeah, I met him only twice, and I was just going through our conversations, the small talk we had on the messenger. I think this was an extremely really nice guy. In 2019, he was so excited that he could take a picture with me. So I said to him, I said, you know, there's one big difference between you and I. You're the Olympian, I'm not, you know. So even the next day, he was texting me how excited he is that he could take a picture with me. I couldn't believe it, you know. So what a really genuinely nice guy he was. I always felt like it's ridiculous that they banned him without having any trial, or, you know.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. So, yep, it's just really, really sad, this whole thing.
Now,
Why did they ban him? What was the reason you banned him? I know he was accused of rape, but that's just an accusation, right? Until it's proven.
And that's all that it was. I mean, there was nothing. There was no
Mhm.
facts, or I mean, it was just an accusation.
that was back when David Pecker, I think, was in charge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
he's the one that actually banned him.
yeah, with AMI. But I mean, even after that, it still continued even to this year, where
Mhm.
they still denied him any ability to compete. So
Yeah. I think after a while they, I don't know. Who knows? There could be more to it that we don't know about. That they know.
well, if that's the case, then maybe the IFBB should have made a press statement, letting everybody know where they stand, instead of just pushing the guy off. I mean, freshly after winning the Olympia, I mean, his whole livelihood was the sport of bodybuilding, and it was ripped right from under his feet, just based on an accusation. And and no way would I ever support anyone that actually would commit, rape. That's just not called for. But if the man hasn't been, found guilty, I mean, in the state, in the country, isn't it? You're innocent till proven guilty. So he shouldn't be restricted any of his rights to compete. I mean,
Yeah. Well, they brought up a good point that you got these NFL players and stuff that have pending charges against them, and they still get to play.
yeah,
Exactly.
I think all sports, I mean, for the most part, I mean, all professional athletes have like legal issues, legalities that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, like you're saying though, and again, from a bodybuilding perspective, we talked last week about pros and money nowadays, and like I said, you make an accusation or whatever it is. Like I said, the reputation's destroyed, and then like I said, he goes from again winning the Olympia a couple of years ago to can't even do his profession anymore. And eventually, by the time he clears his name, because he wasn't a young bodybuilder, you know what I'm saying? So he's already been in the league, was already in the legal system for years, with a couple of years with this. So by the time it's over and his name did get cleared, well, now he's past his prime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now he's by the time it's back, okay, hey, you're innocent. Hey, sorry about that. Sorry, we just now your career's over. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Aceto made a comment, Doc, that about blood tests, saying blood tests weren't enough, that bodybuilders should do more.
I agree. Well, and so remember the classic, what they're going to go by. So let's just talk about from a cardiology perspective. And we've all had this test done, dozens of times, hundreds of times. You go and get your cholesterol done. So you're going to check your cholesterol total, your good cholesterol, your bad cholesterol, triglycerides, and give you a little bit of a ratio. Well, here's some statistics. Like I said, first and foremost, the classic lipid profile is rudimentary at best in determining what's going on with that cholesterol. 51% of people who have a heart attack have a normal classical lipid profile. Okay, so right off the rip, you're telling me more than half of the people who have a heart attack have a normal cholesterol. So remember that from that perspective, heart disease has been the #1 killer for 120 years. So now, 120 years later, I'm using this broad spectrum. Everybody are on blood pressure medications. Everybody is on statins. Heart disease is still the #1 killer in America. So obviously, what we've gone after traditionally isn't what's causing that, okay? What it truly comes down to at the end of the day, and this is where I was taught, is you're looking at vascular nature. So let's go with the cholesterol. What does that mean? Is the cholesterol good or bad? You have to begin to look at particles of cholesterol. What's the size of the good? What's the size of the bad? How many good do we have? How many bad do we have? Is it oxidized or rusted? What's the inflammation markers in the vascular system? These are all things that are causing the issues with the vascular disease and ultimately heart disease. And one quick example, so you guys have all had your cholesterol level done, and you remember You know, the LDL, they said that's the bad guy. That's the one that can cause the heart attacks and strokes. And it can. But remember this, every cell in your body has a receptor or a lock and key for the LDL cholesterol because it's fuel for our body. I don't care how high your LDL cholesterol is. What I do care is how much of that is oxidized or rusted. Remember now this, there is no cell in your body that has a receptor for rusted or oxidized LDL cholesterol except for one. It's one of your immune cells. And what happens when you hit an immune cell? It sparks a cascade of an inflammatory and immune reaction. Ultimately, then what happens? That happens in the vascular system. And that's when you get your plaque formation and you get destruction and endothelial, which is the wrapping inside the artery, dysfunction. So no, Chris is right. Blood testing's not enough. We need to be looking at echocardiograms, coronary artery calcium scores. One test that I run a lot on people is a CT angiogram. And then we also need to look at inflammatory markers. I run a test in my office called a PULS test, PULS, stands for plaque unstable lesion signature. It tells you all the inflammatory markers inside the vascular system, which would ultimately change the cholesterol, make it bad, leading to ultimate heart issues.
Okay, sorry, Phil's having issues here.
I can attest to that because, you know, I had open heart surgery nearly a year ago. I had 6 bypasses, and I looked back over all my blood work, and I never had high cholesterol.
There you go. There you go. And there's your statistic. There's another one for you. And this is what's amazing here in the States. 64, and you're attested to it. 64% of people who have heart attacks have less than 50% of their artery blocked. They will not stent you under standards and protocols unless you're 70 to 75% or greater stenosis or blocked. What did I just say? 64% of people who have heart attacks have less than 50% stenosis or narrowing of the artery. Think about that. Think about that statistic. So we're missing the boat in diagnosing cardiovascular disease. Old cardiology goes after the heart as an anatomical structure, and that's not where you need to be looking. You need to be looking at the vascular system, the endothelial system. That is what goes on. That's where your issue is. It's multiple years, 10 to 15 to 20 years of endothelial dysfunction that will ultimately cause the cardiac issue and cause the failing or the heart attack or all the issues that you're hearing. That is what is going on 100%. And again, if you're running your classic labs, you're never gonna ever detect it. And like I said, I pumped to Ian on that. He had bypass surgery. And what did he say? Never had cholesterol that was high. But that's what everybody will tell you. Oh, it's cholesterol, it's cholesterol, it's cholesterol, it's cholesterol, it's cholesterol. Nah, it's not cholesterol. Not saying it doesn't have an inherent risk. Please, I'm not saying that. But there's multiple other factors that are involved. That's not the key factor at all.
What causes the oxidization, doctor?
There you go. So lifestyle, what goes in our body, stress, you know, again, the environmental. If the blood pressure tends to be higher, causes oxidative stress. What are we putting into our bodies? Causes oxidative stress. One of the biggest things, again, most of us here in America run at 100 miles an hour. So we tend to be sympathetically dominant, increases our stress. One of the things when it comes to stress is the body is very smart on everything, except it is not very smart when it comes to stress. It doesn't know the difference in stress is I had a good workout and broke my muscles down, somebody cut me off in traffic, or there's a bear chasing me in the woods. Your body determines any stress that the bear is chasing you in the woods. So what is it going to release? It's going to release cortisol. It's going to release adrenaline. Those are all protective hormones that causes your sugar to go up, causes you to have insulin resistance, causes a lot of inflammatory cascade. And then again, now you're altering that endothelium or the vascular system.
Typical bodybuilder's diet is like white rice and chicken, right?
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Does that cause this? The white rice?
Yeah, because it's refined sugar. And again, right, when you refine it, so you're taking it through, basically, you're genetically modifying it, you're changing it. So what's happening is when you increase with the white rice perspective, you are increasing inflammation, okay? The body doesn't break that stuff down. Now go to the GI system, like we've talked about before. When you're eating and you're eating refined sugars, really, really high fats, okay? What's gonna happen is it causes your body to release two byproducts that's called a lipopolysaccharide and a ceramide. When you release these, what happens, it starts to shut down your insulin receptors. So now you can't get sugar into the cell, okay? You then lead into what's called metabolic endotoxemia, which is very similar to shock. Ultimately, the end product is end organ damage. Then when you do begin to eat sugar, what happens is the sugar that then opens up the insulin receptors, but then fat is now deposited into the organ and into the muscle. So kind of when we're going with the bodybuilding and eating, now we're eating 6, 7, 8 times a day. We think that we're eating healthy, but how healthy is the GI system? If you just keep putting this in a system that is not absorbing well, you know, what are we doing to take care of the small intestine? Because if our foods are not breaking down into amino acids, fatty acids, and monosaccharides, then we're not absorbing it. Our body's going to reject it, and it's causing an immune reaction in the gut, which increases our inflammation. So actually eating can go back and cause vascular disease, not from what we thought was, oh, eating too much McDonald's is going to cause cholesterol. No, eating too much and not having a healthy GI system is causing inflammation in the GI tract, and then ultimately inflammation in the endothelium.
Doc, how do you know if you have this? What are some signs?
From what, inflammation or GI issues?
GI issues.
So you'll notice a lot of times it'll be bloating, like, you know, like say after a meal, you'll be like, holy man, I'm really, really bloated. Also too, you have to remember, what we started to run a lot in our practice too is food sensitivity and allergies testing. You'd rather have an allergy because, you know, if you eat it, you know, you're going to get red or swell. That's, you know, that, then just don't eat, you know, peanuts. Right. But what the darn thing is to know, do you have a sensitivity? Because the sensitivity can be on a spectrum. It could be something where it gives you gas, all the way to you're eating something and man, my joints hurt. I have brain fog. I'm bloated. I can't sleep. I have headaches. You don't know that. You may not know because we're eating, you know, again, if you're eating 6, 7 times a day, you don't pay attention to what exactly you're eating. So you might come to find out that, again, I'm using an example, you know, you put avocados on stuff, but you have a sensitivity to an avocado. It could be what's causing the inflammatory cascade because you're not digesting it. So then your body's leaking it into the GI system. And now when it leaks, your body detects it's that foreign. And if it's foreign, what is it going to do? It's going to cause an inflammatory and an immune reaction in the system.
Okay.
And that's where, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you would recommend a more balanced diet, more fruits, more stuff like that, or checking your pH regularly?
You said it right there. There you go. Checking pH. You can check urinary pH and you can check just regular salivary pH. And that's something that anybody can go to at your local health food store or CVS or Walmart or Walgreens and get pH sticks. You can put them in this mouth for the saliva, and you can check your urine. You're 100% right. Where do things like to grow? In an acidic environment. That's where your bacteria and all these things are going to grow and increase inflammation. 100%.
So I have all of my clients sending me the pH every week. What I'm still not 100% certain is how to react to low pH, you know, what exactly to recommend. You know, usually I try to have them eating more fruit, stuff like that. Does something like apple cider vinegar help, or is that a bad thing?
That helps a little. What you can do, and what I've given a lot of my patients from a GI issues, you actually can give them distilled aloe. You know, you can actually drink 4 to 6 ounces a day and literally coats the GI all the way from the mouth all the way out. An outstanding, outstanding product that you can give patients. Really helps. I get a lot of people that I have with acid reflux. I'll give that to them and try to get them off of their GERD medication, you know. So that's another one that can really be tried as well.
Yeah. What's up, Phil?
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. We're all here. We're good.
So one more question. Those food allergy tests, I wasn't ever really sure if that's a scam or not, but I have some of my clients, when they complain about bloating, I had them take them. So every year we should take one, or what do you recommend there?
Well, you, just like you're saying, if you're like your clients are having issues, definitely go from there. You don't have to necessarily recheck them, because once they know you have the food sensitivity, they're going to have it. What you do is you look at the sensitivities and see if any of those are related to your client. Then what you do is you eliminate that food for 30 days. You put it back into the system after 30 days for 3 consecutive days, okay? If the person has a reaction, and it can be anything, bloated, I don't feel good, then you know that's eliminated out of the diet, you never put it back in. Or they may have just a slight reaction that's not a big deal, they can continue to move on. But at the end of the day, you look at the foods that come off on the sensitivity, take those foods, get rid of them, and then slowly begin to introduce and see the reaction that they get. If they get a reaction, then you eliminate it from the diet altogether. Because then what's going to happen on your end is now they're not absorbing, they're not digesting, they're not processing. So that you as taking care of the clients are going to battle upstream, because everything you're doing is not efficient now, because their body's sitting there actually under attack, because we're having an antibody antigen complex reaction.
Very good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I have another, I mean, I don't know who's going to answer the question, probably on the doc too. So now from the federation side, so I mean, it's all good. We know we should, I knew that blood tests are not enough, but when, for example, you see sometimes when there is a trade pending in football, but depending on the medical testing, do football players have to do that? So our federation do something like that annually to renew your pro license, or what could they do to really help? Because it's going to be very hard to convince young people to do the right thing. So what can they do?
You know, like I said, you're right. Like I said, I think these athletes putting through stricter testing. Again, it's sad, because I was a former professional athlete. Most of the guys we're talking to have been. What happens is, you know, it does come down to money. So you herd us through like cattle. You give us, okay, we're going to test you as much as we deem necessary to test. And like I told you, we run the test that kind of scrape the surface. It's good enough. You're good. And they push you through. And like I said, at the end of your career, they kick you out. But now, you know, what's been done to your body over these years, you know, that's why I said, that's one of the reasons, like I said, I've been fortunate to come on here, talk with you guys, because we met Jason a couple of years ago. And that's where I went into practice, to start to show athletes there's a voice, there's a place you can go to really talk about and get tested thoroughly at a level that your federations and or your doctors just truly aren't going to do and or understand.
Is there ever, in these IFBB shows, is there ever a doctor backstage? Do they ever talk to the competitors or anything?
Yeah, I've never one.
What's that, Phil?
In my time, I've never saw one. That's a good idea to have one backstage.
Yeah.
Now I've seen a few NPC shows. At the Typo Classic, there was a medical assistant person backstage. Was she with you, Jason?
No, they had like just a regular EMT. So like, again, if somebody goes down, they're like a paramedic, because that, you know, that's going to be your emergency service, and most sporting events can, you know, and again, that's for, you know, if somebody goes down, we can get, you know, call rescue, get them going. But, you know, just like, I mean, the thing is, I mean, professional wrestling, you know, football, basketball, there's doctors there, you know, and again, here you go. Is there, you know, we talked about this last week, you know, we're talking chemicals and things and altering biochemistry and physiology. And who's there monitoring these people? Who's there to talk to you guys? Who's there to, uh-oh, we need you to do, hey, this person is in this distress. This is what's going. No, it's like, good luck. Wish you guys all the best. We need you to push your body to the absolute extreme. Absolute extreme. Probably more than any other athlete out there. But we're going to kind of mediocrely, and I'm not, you know, I work first response type stuff, but we're going to have the, you know, the person that can drive the ambulance there so we can load you quick to the hospital and get you out. So that not you know, not my problem, get you to the hospital real quick, you know. And I think that's the first year I met you, Jason. I mean, look, you know, I don't think, you know, this is the first time I ever sponsored a show, but look at the response when at that nighttime, I was there the whole day. Nobody knew who the hell I was until that night show. And I went back and said, hey, let me talk to you guys real quick. I don't think any shows anybody had a physician show up and say, hey, just want to let you know I'm here for you. Come talk to me about whatever you want to talk about, you know, and that's kind of where all this has started.
Yeah, no, I you know, and I've competed in a lot of local shows in Florida, and you're the only doctor I've ever seen at a show ever that actually talks to the competitors.
Wow.
That actually links their name with the show too, as well. So that, I mean, that's a big contributing factor to it as well, man.
Yeah. Well, have we confirmed that Victor Richards is alive?
Where did that rumor come from?
I don't know, but like we were talking before you guys came on, that the only thing suspicious about it is that he hasn't himself like took a selfie or something that says, hey, I'm okay.
Why wouldn't you do that? If I saw that myself, personally, I'd make a call to somebody and say, hey, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm alive and well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Started that rumor. I get to the bottom of it if I could.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
The fact that you say he hasn't said anything.
Just his daughter, but she wanted to remain anonymous, or, you know, she wanted to be private. She didn't want to come out in public.
Who knows, Victor, which I do a little bit. Victor is not going to do what any normal human being expects.
I've heard that too.
So I think if his daughter says he's fine and alive, I take that as he's fine.
He's probably sitting on the couch telling his daughter, hey, tell them I'm all right. Leave me alone.
Yeah. You know, I've known Victor since he was 18 years old. We met outside of Gold's Gym in Venice. And I looked at him and I said, holy shit. I said, who is that? And Larry Jackson, a former pro, came up and goes, I want you to meet Victor, Phil. He said, come here. He introduced me to Victor. And I said, what have you won? I said, you must have won some shows. He goes, he was 17 or 18 years old. And he had genetics that none of us will ever see again, probably. And this is before anything else. And I watched him grow over the years that I saw him in leaps and bounds. It's incredible. The guy was a super genetic freak. One in a billion, probably.
I drove 11 hours to see him all the way from Switzerland to the FIBO. You know, I was not interested in seeing any pros. I wanted to see him. Yeah,
he was tremendous.
Something else, yeah. I mean, it's a little disappointing. I always thought he's the only one who could really have pushed Lee Haney.
I'm going to say this. It got to know him. He's a weird man.
He is.
It's strange. He's a nice guy, but he's out there.
Listen, for Lee Priest to come on the thing and say that the guy's weird, that tells you something.
I never forgot the spread in Flex magazine when he was guest posing at the FIBO. Was it the FIBO that he was guest posing with Dorian?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is that, man? It was just crazy.
I got one funny Victor Richards story. He and I went to his apartment. I believe he was in Sherman Oaks at the time. And his girlfriend made chicken burritos. She made like 20 of them. I ate 3 and I was full. He ate 13 and continued to and laughed the whole time. And I'm over on the sofa sitting back and my guts stretched out. And he ate 10 more than I did and laughed the whole time. Funny guy.
Yeah, this guy's a monster.
Big man. And you got to remember now, this was, you know,
this is in the 80s.
It was late, you know, that was mid 80s, late 80s. I remember I was real, you know, I was not just barely as a teenager. You know, this wasn't, you know, it was crazy. Yeah, that's the FIBO right there. That back.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
with the glasses and.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Amazing.
Yeah, our Swiss champion, Frost was gay. He brought him to Switzerland. And he didn't say much, you know, although he was supposed to have a seminar, but he didn't say much. But he did sell us all crash weight number 8, crash weight gain number 8.
Crash weight gain number 8, yeah.
And of course, what he said, we did. So, you know, the difference was we all just got fat, you know. Yeah.
You guys all know Cali Muscle?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I do, but I didn't know him before this all happens.
Yeah, apparently he had a this picture here. This is the picture of him in the hospital. He did a little short thing about his heart attack here. It's a little 9-minute video. Obviously, I'm not going to play it, but basically, he's had a heart attack. I don't remember what the term he used, but basically, the left side of his heart was 100% locked.
Wow.
Yeah, he had the left anterior descending, or you guys have probably heard it called the Widowmaker. I think he was close to 100% blocked. And you got to remember that one comes out of the left side, runs down the front of the heart, basically supplies the whole anterior lateral side of the left side of the heart. So, I mean, that's the one, like I said, if you're going to block all the way, that's not the one, you know, I
have a question to the doctor about that. So when somebody has a blockage like that, he must feel that when he works out. That does a guy like that still have the capacity to go to the maximum heart rate, or he must feel that or not?
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to punt over to Ian. You don't have to, because your body inherently, I know when I did autopsies and stuff, your body will begin to make collateral circulation around the blockage. And that's pretty crazy, is like you open these people up. You open these people up and they have a whole series of brand new arteries around the blockage. So you'll never know. One really quick thing. This is the craziest thing. The beginning of this year, I came back from California from doing some training, and I have my personal training studio, my gym upstairs. And so I was working. It's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they came running downstairs. And I was like, oh man, they said somebody went down. And so I'm like, oh, it's one of the diabetics. They didn't have sugar. They passed out. I went upstairs, and the trainer who worked for me, he's ghost white. And I looked at the guy on the ground. He's dead. He's blue. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I worked on him 20 minutes, got rescue, basically worked him all the way out to the ambulance. I mean, I couldn't get him back, did everything we could. Nonetheless, long story short, he ended up in a coma. He did actually come out of the coma, and he wasn't even a patient of mine. He ended up showing up at my office one day when I got out of surgery, and I don't get choked up very much, but I'm like, oh, he's sitting in my waiting room to come tell me thank you. But the story is, he told my trainer before they worked out, what a great workout yesterday. I feel fantastic. I can't wait to get started. Wow. 2 minutes later, he completely shit the bed. Wow. I talked to him, you know, when he came into the office. I'm like, man, what was going on? No family history, no personal history, no medications, nothing. The first time he found out something was wrong is when I'm blasting on his chest and he was dead. Wow. And so like your body will compensate for that. And it's just a matter of time that it eventually gives out, is when the disaster will take loose. And so there may not be, like I say, Ian, I'll pass to him. When did you know there was something wrong? Wow. You probably didn't have much of a lead up until the event itself actually happened.
Exactly the same thing happened to me. I was having heartburn symptoms for about 2.5 weeks and throwing up like every other day. And I wouldn't go to the hospital, even though I got told to. And then I had a gastroenterologist appointment on December 7th last year. I went to my gastroenterologist, and he looked at my ankles. Both my ankles had swollen up. He sent me straight to the ER. They did an angiogram. Thought they were going to do stents. And I woke up 3 weeks later after being in a coma. I was intubated for 2.5 weeks, and my widowmaker was completely blocked, 100% blocked. And just like you said, my body had grown another arteries around, another vascular system around to supply that side of my heart. And I had no I had no idea there was anything wrong with me. I was training, I was working, I was doing all the normal things I normally do, and I just thought I had acid reflux. And then next thing, I had 6 bypasses. They couldn't even do stents. The stents wouldn't have done it. There were 2 blocked, and six is quite a lot. I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. When you start talking major arteries to the heart, you're pretty much maxing out at that point. You know, that's the front, the sides, the back, the bottom. You know, you're pretty much all your major vessels were blocked. But again, you would, if you think the totality of that, guys, you would think something would go on. I mean, we've all had heartburn before. We've all had a Tums, you know, and why would Ian, who's relatively healthy guy, ever think it was anything more than, man, getting older, probably got acid reflux. Here comes another pill or Tums I got to keep taking. Meanwhile, his heart is eroding, and you would have never known. You never known. You know, it's crazy. He was, you know, thank God the GI doctor paid attention to what's going on, just didn't look at his belly, but he wasn't even at the right doctor for what was going on. You know what I'm saying? He would have been dead. This guy that I took care of, if he works from home, if that was going to happen to him, and it might not have been that day, but they would have found him. There's no way. I mean, he was dead, and it took them 2 minutes to get me, and he was dead. And it's just crazy. And that's what I'm so adamant. That's why I went again, and Jason knows this. He's been to my office. You know, you see the pictures on the wall. I don't stop learning. I just finished. I posted, you know, I'm now board certified in metabolic cardiology. I don't stop learning, and especially from a heart perspective, because guys, like we said last week, you're not going to know there's something wrong until there's something wrong. And when there's something wrong, it's already too late. And probably most of this now, and that's what I'm saying, the technology is out there, the know-how is out there, and we got to start to make a change and look deeper and not just take the, you know, it's kind of like the whole iceberg thing, you know, just don't look at the surface, because what's there is all beneath the water. And that's where the issue's coming from. The heart attacks is just a manifestation of the underlying problems below. You know, and I am to an extent, you know, again, Jason made a very good point last week and had a preface that, you know, we're not bashing bodybuilding. I'm not, you know, I'm so tired of the people, because this is going to cause heat on me as a doctor who does what I do and manage people's hormones. The sport's going to get bad press because you know what they're going to go after. It's the big elephant in the room that it's steroids. It's all bullshit. That's not the issue. But what the issue is, we've talked about it, is again, putting any chemical in your body. I don't care if it's an aspirin or it's a steroid. What are you doing to take care of yourself? That's the issue at the end of the day. What are we doing to take care of it? But you know, the easy out is, of course, it's going to be the drugs. It's going to be the drugs. It's going to, that, man, that wasn't it at all. It had, now I'm not saying it doesn't have an inherent risk, please, because I'll get heat that wasn't it. You know, not saying it doesn't have a risk, but how do you deal with risk? You mitigate it by counteracting risk. You know, so like I said, I write prescriptions every day, but they have side effects. But if I know what the side effect is, I can give, you know, a supplement or something to counteract the side effects, so you get the 100% effect of the medication. You know, again, that's from a medicine perspective, practicing medicine 2 to 3 layers deep. That's not what's happening in our healthcare system. It's definitely not happening for you guys and my athletes out there. But then again, our athletes aren't taking their health 2 or 3 layers deep. It's let's run the drugs, let's do the dieting, let's have the big muscles, let's have the great looking physique. That's the superficial. But what are we doing to make sure we're taking care of down deep? You know, do we have heart issues? Do we have diabetes issues? Do we have vascular issues, GI issues? I just showed you how a GI issue can lead you to having a cardiovascular issue. Who the hell ever would have thought eating healthy, but eating a lot could cause vascular dysfunction? So
now, quick question back to the SHAWN RHODEN issue, Doc. Now, could the whole stress of everything that he was going through over the past 3 years could it have done what could it have caused the heart attack?
It definitely could have exacerbated whatever the underlying issue is, 100%. Because again, like we talked about, that stress is the same thing as the bear chasing him. Norepinephrine, epinephrine, cortisol, pregnenolone, steel. Good stuff goes away, bad stuff stays. Again, and now you got to remember, bigger man, human bodies, you know, again, we weren't necessarily, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, you're not made to be 300 pounds, you know, and it's sad to see because like we watch these, they glorify these out of shape people on TV, but the body can compensate being, and I excuse my word, 300-pound fat ass, because the body over time just is like, okay, it compensates. But you take someone like us or Jean-Pierre or any of these guys who were really, really big guys and low amount of body fat, the body doesn't compensate as well. It sucks. It's like, wow, I'm taking care of myself and I'm putting more stress on the body if I just sat there and did nothing. Now you become unhealthy the other way, but there's a lot of stress. So again, the heart's a pump. It's got to work harder. And then again, put the undue stress. Now again, and then it exacerbates. And I've heard articles that he did have heart issues in the past.
That's what I've heard.
Okay, again, same difference. African-American males, genetically from a heart perspective, more prone to cardiomyopathy, you know, renal disease. Those are things we have to, again, bring to the forefront, but nobody talks about this stuff, you know, and that's what really, it ends up pissing me off at the end of the day, is nobody talks about this until, again, we got a guy in the hospital with a heart attack and we got another athlete down. So here's the time just to start throwing yard darts at everything. When we're not really throwing, you know, we're going after the wrong whole thing. You know what I'm saying? We're not educating. We're not going at this right. We just want to, again, we want to get somebody on a podcast that ends up bashing some guy because you kick him when he's like literally down. He's not here anymore. It's easy just to beat the shit out of somebody when they're dead, and everybody can play Monday morning quarterback.
Exactly.
You follow me? I don't want to hear nothing what Palumbo has to say, and I'll take him on any day. Jesus Christ, how big and what did he do? Now all of a sudden you've cleaned yourself out and everyone else is an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I don't buy into it.
Is age a factor? If you're in your 40s, you're 46. I mean, it's one thing being 26, 36, 46. Age has to be a factor. Am I correct?
100%. Again, just over time. Again, you know, remember now when you work out now compared to 25, you don't recover like you used to. You don't grow like you used to. You're not as resilient.
Right.
Even nowadays, have a couple glasses of wine and like next day, you're like, ooh, that was a lot. You know, before you drink all day and you're fine. I'm just saying, no, but it does play a role. It does. It plays a huge role. You have to be careful. You have to spend more time, effort, energy on the system so that you can compensate if you're going to continue to move on again. So.
And again, he may have had a few decades of this behind him already.
This, like I said, that's the thing that we have to understand. Diabetes, heart disease, nobody wakes up with diabetes. Shawn Rhoden did not die that day. I mean, physically he left this earth, but why he died is that I'm willing to put a lot on the line and say that was decades, manifestations of not anything he's doing athletic. I'm just saying endothelial dysfunction for 10 to 15 years caused this issue. The manifestation is the unfortunate event, but he didn't just, you know, it's not a shocker. If we opened them up and we looked at the history and we looked at labs and all the stuff I just told you about, if we had records of all that, you would say, oh, that's a recipe waiting to happen. But he, again, would have never known because, again, you know, when your back hurts, then your back hurts, you know, then there's a back problem. But nobody, your heart doesn't, you don't know your heart's hurting until it's hurt or dead, you know?
Well, back to Cali. And the reason why I brought him up is he said in his video that he noticed he had edema for a long time and he ignored it.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know what that is, Doc, that's basically the swelling of the feet, and of the legs. Yeah. And he really thinks, and his doctors think that was a big trigger for him. And of course, he never got any blood work done, he said.
Wow.
You know,
it goes into point what we said. Again, you swell 2 reasons. It's vascular in nature, which I've said now 100 times tonight. You know what I'm saying? And it, again, goes back to the heart, kidneys, vasculature. If you're leaking or you're swelling, you have vascular leakage. The cardiovascular system ought to be a closed system, nothing in, nothing out. Okay. So if you're swelling, then you have vascular leakage, and that interstitial fluid is moving out, going into the interstitium, like I said, but from the vascular space into the interstitium. And now you're going to have swelling. Again, the whole system isn't working. Really, at the end of the day, if you have a sprinkler system at your house, you kind of understand the cardiovascular system in a nutshell, in a simplistic way. It's physics, it's tubes, pipes, pressure in, pressure out, pressure gradients.
Let me ask you also, Doc, anesthesia, because Callie said that he had just he did a local anesthesia. He had a tooth pulled that morning, and that's when triggered the heart attack. And then I look at that female, what was her name? Odalis, the one that she was having the armpit surgery, and she ended up dying right after that, had a heart attack.
So the local is I'm not denying that. A lot of times where you'll see issues is general anesthesia. So that's when you're completely out. The body, you know, again, the anesthesia, you're slowing body systems down, you're slowing down physiology, biochemistry. Have to be very careful with that. And the more times people are under, 100% is going to cause an issue. Local, you know, I'm not saying it does. I'm not at all saying it didn't trigger it, because again, you're using chemicals to block out. So I'm not. What it did for Callie then that was the catalyst that finally then set the 10 to 15 years, so that was the event that day. Yeah. But I'm just saying that the causative agent wouldn't have been the anesthesia. It was just the one that finally said, okay, now we're going to present. It happened to be that.
Yeah.
You think, you know, when you compare stress, like emotional stress, to regular stress, do you think hard training, like really hard training, drop sets, forced reps, negatives, all those things, do you think that could be a contributing factor to inflammation in the body?
Yes, sir. 100%. And let's just talk about just pure physiology, the basic science and cell of it. When we exercise, we all know this. What do? You tear down muscle fibers. So at the end of the day, the pure cell part of it, your body deems that you are hurt. So if you are hurt, your body's going to send out the signals to try to protect itself, cortisol and adrenaline. And you guys have all trained people, and you've trained yourself. And there's been times when you guys have been busting your ass. Everything's going, you got everything in your system right, but you actually start to look worse. You start to get weaker. You don't look as, you know, everything's not going like it should, even though you got everything, all your T's crossed and I's dotted, but you're actually regressing. You're moving into cortisol syndrome. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It destroys things. It's great short term. Again, if I got to run from the bear real quick, one of the best hormones I can produce along with adrenaline. Don't need that long term. Remember, inflammation initially, great, heals. Inflammation long term destroys the body. So yeah, training, yes, 100%. Overtraining, training really hard. Again, not recovering, you know, like you're supposed to. You know, it's amazing. What are we putting into the system? You know.
Let me ask you, the guys that train 6 days a week, which is very common, which is a big mistake. That's like chronic overtraining. And I've talked about this for a couple of decades. I train each body part every 10 days, which makes sense. Plenty of recovery time. At my age, 61, I can't do more than that. I refuse to do more than that. But I think you see a lot of guys that just chronically overtrain all the time.
And if you are, but you guarantee, you know, I'm not a big proponent of the 6 days, but if you are going to go this 6, which I don't recommend,
right,
you damn sure better make sure the physiology and the biochemistry and everything you're putting in your body matches the 6 days. What you're saying, Phil, is right. They're training 6 days, but they're fueling their body at probably a 3 or 4 day capacity. So they're running into a deficit, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, like me as a doc now, unfortunate, my love, because I've trained my entire life, has kind of been taken away from me because I'm in the office for 120 plus hours. I'm really busy. So if I can train 1 or 2 days a week for 35 to 40 minutes, it's a good week. But what I've had to do is I've learned now with my education and being granted this access is the whole biochemistry and physiology, learning how to use certain just medications, how to use diet, IV therapy, peptide therapy to stay in really, really good shape. Eating probably less than 12 to 1,500 calories a day. You know, I don't think I've ever not trained this much or never not eaten this much ever, but I still maintain a decent, you know, first of all, health is impeccable because I run my blood every 8 weeks because I have access to run these tests, obviously, in my office. But then I have access to these different products, supplements, all this stuff, and designing things and putting in. So now it's kind of great to see, because when I talk to athletes, I'm like, look, if I can see results, you're training harder than me, you're eating better than me. So if you don't, then you're not putting in the effort. Because and I'm at 46, now that I'm, you know, I'm getting up there. but I'm not 25. So if you're 30 something years old and you tell me you can't get big or strong or whatever, then you're just not training hard enough.
Not training hard.
You're not putting the effort in.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
Ian, do you think bodybuilding is the reason for your heart attack?
Well, I think bodybuilding contributed to my heart attack.
Yeah, or competing.
Competing?
Yeah.
No, because I stopped competing in my 20s. You know, I started training, started competing at 15. My first show was 15-year-old. I competed till I was 28, and then I retired. So I had competed since, well, 24, 25 years. So it's funny because what my cardiologist actually told me was, because I was completely baffled. In fact, Jason, I need to come and see you. I need to become one of your patients. I need to come over and see you. If you've got space, I need to come and get a lot of these tests done, because I have been scratching my head since all this happened to me, because I've always eaten what I thought was healthy. I've always exercised, but what my cardiologist told me was that I started a cycle of inflammation in my late teens, early 20s, and that inflammation carried on, and that's what caused it. So that's why I ask about the training. That's why I ask about the rice, and I've drastically changed my diet. I don't do white rice anymore. I don't do red meat anymore. I do fish and chicken and brown rice and a lot of vegetables and fruit and oatmeal and, you know, all of the above. But I don't know if I've got any food allergies. I'm not allergic to anything that I'm aware of, but I may have. But I think the lifestyle contributed to it. And I think that's why you're seeing all these deaths in bodybuilding, because, you know, most of these guys are about my age, in their, you know, mid 40s to mid 60s. And they've all followed the bodybuilding lifestyle. They've all trained like crazy, trained very aggressively in the gym, broken down, and probably caused inflammation that way. One of the most common meals in bodybuilding is chicken and rice. That's probably one of the most eaten meals of any bodybuilder. And the more I look into it, you know, I ate a lot of white rice in my time, a hell of a lot of white rice. So I think the general lifestyle contributed to what happened to me, you know. And I had 6 bypasses. The surgeon didn't even, when I went to see the surgeon 3 months after my surgery, he actually walked into the room and said, "I didn't think this day had ever come." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I didn't think I'd ever see you alive." He said it was touch and go there for a few days, and we didn't think you were going to make it. Well, you know, I'm 52 years old. I'm not ready to leave yet. And I just feel like I've been given a second chance, a new lease of life, and I want to come and see Dr. Jason and get all my stuff. No, seriously, I mean, you laugh, but I'm trying my best to do what I think is right, and obviously what I thought was right wasn't right. So I need to readdress it, and I think that's why you've seen so many bodybuilders going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And see what's great now, and again, I'm just saying it out there, like when I treat cardiac, I take it obviously very seriously, and there's things I won't even accept a cardiac patient until they agree to all of my terms on the testing that's going to be done. Because I don't want to hear, I tell my patients, like, they'll come and, you know, because a lot of the tests aren't covered by insurance because insurance won't use that stuff. But I'm like, I will not treat cardiac patients if I have to hear, well, I don't have the money to pay for that, I can't do that, why are we doing this? Then I won't do it, because what I've been exposed to now, which I can't stop doing enough of them, is I run an actual genetic profile on the heart and vascular system. It checks 33 different genes related to heart and vascular disease. So how important is that in understanding where that's the first part in deciding how we're going to treat you? I mean, and it can be everything from, you know, do you have the gene that doesn't allow you to break down caffeine well enough? Do you have a gene that's keeping too much salt in your arteries? Do you have the gene that causes your heart electrical system to be not wired correctly? Well, if you don't know this, then all the treatment plans that I can provide to you are nothing more than I'm kind of guessing and shooting in the dark. But that's one of the first place I start before I even run additional cholesterol and all that. If we're cardiac, I include, you know, we're doing genetic testing, we're doing inflammatory testing, we're doing cholesterol particle testing. That's what we do, because then we have a picture, then we know what we're dealing with. But if we don't, like I said, then we're just kind of stabbing, like you said, you're sitting here at a flux, you know, what, 11, you know, since August, like, well, what the hell went wrong? What's going on? And am I still doing the wrong thing? You know, I mean, you know, you've changed your lifestyle, but is there something that we still need to change to prevent the next one? We think we're doing okay, but, you know, maybe we're not. And it could be a little tweak, like, oh, got to eliminate this, or let's add this medication, or let's take away this medication and add this supplementation instead, because it actually helps the vascular system perform better, keeping down the oxidative stress. So
you guys everybody here knows Rich Piana.
Right.
yeah.
And you guys would agree that he probably is kind of the pioneer as far as social media for bodybuilding?
To the extreme, yeah.
To the extreme. And that's my question. Do you think his lifestyle kind of put a bad taste, you know, kind of was a bad image for bodybuilding? You think he kind of set the tone and made it a bad image for bodybuilding?
Let you guys go first.
Wow.
I think, I'll go really quick, then I'll let you, because you guys are still more involved than I am for the medical. I think, first of all, and again, it's funny, I'll give you a funny story, but I think his knowledge as far as supplementation in the bodybuilding world, he was a smart man. He really did have his shit together. But his lifestyle to the extreme, again, with the anabolics, with the recreationals, with the other things, you basically did the antithesis of what you were preaching. You know, and that's what's sad to me. Now, you preach this, but then here you are running through, you know, other illegal drugs and this lifestyle to the max, and then the body gave out. But from a cardiac, this is hilarious. You guys will laugh at this. A lot of his products I still use today, but a lot of his products I give to my cardiac patients. So like he has a product, I'm not going to use it's the full as, I'm not going to use the word on the TV, right? I have 70-year-old cardiac patients drinking that because actually the ingredients in it are so awesomely put together to increase nitric oxide production. So I have little 67-year-old women drinking I tell them to go to the website and they're all ordering his, you know, the full as F drink, and they drink it every day for their heart. So his products and what he did were great, but I think, again, there's the extreme, and then look what happens.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing it up is, you know, I've been doing a lot of research on Sean and all these different stuff, and everybody compares his death. That you always see Rich Piana's picture pop up when it talks about steroid deaths and stuff like that. That's the reason why I'm asking.
I think Piana's I personally, again, and then if I never saw the autopsy reports and stuff, but again, that's lifestyle. There's again, I'm sorry, and I just, you know, as a professional athlete, I mean, you can't run through cocaine, ecstasy, insulin, mega amounts of steroids, mega amounts of eating. I mean, come on, man. Again,
I know.
Nobody here is 7 foot, you know, we're not Shaq, meaning you're not 7'2", so you're probably really not supposed to be 300, 350 pounds. You know, you're 5'10", 6'1", 340, 350, and now you are gassed in every respect. You're in fifth gear on everything. You're in fifth gear on training and food, but then you're fifth gear on recreational drugs, anabolics, insulin. I mean, okay. Body sooner or later is like, all right, it's enough. Body's like, hey, okay, we had a good run, but you're killing me here, boss. I can't keep running this candle at both ends.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I don't know if y'all ever went to any expos that he was at. I mean, his line was wrapped around the building.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
I just thought that was interesting. So, do you guys think that the IFBB is having these conversations right now? Not like literally right now, but do you think do you think this is being brought up and like one of those, what do we need to do? Or do you think they're just ignoring it?
I would think so. I mean, I would think so.
Yeah.
It will not come up. It has to. I mean, this is going to continue if something isn't put forward.
Yes. It's going to turn into wrestling 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, what's the solution?
Wow.
education, get the right people in place. You know, I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, you know, whether they put together a team of doctors and come up with a, you know, be able to offer this stuff to you guys somehow, some way. I mean, I don't have a solution. To me, getting doctors, putting in protocols, taking care of your athletes. You see what I'm saying? And because I'm sorry, at the end of the day, you know, it's not pro wrestling with all these hundreds upon hundreds and billions of dollars. You know, they're not, the bodybuilding isn't signing billion-dollar contracts with USA and Fox to be on TV. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So the sport has already got the black eye of steroids. You're always, and you guys, you know, Phil, you've been around, Ian, you've been around, you know, decades and decades, and you know, and Jean-Pierre, it's always had that stigma. No matter what's the first thing? Bodybuilders, big freak, steroids. Yeah. Jesus, no credit for working out or taking care of yourself. What's the easy out? Steroids, steroids, steroids. The sport can't handle death after death after death after death before the federal government will start sticking their nose in there. Other things will happen, and the sport will really take a nosedive. And I don't think you have the financial ability to take that type of nosedive where your reputation is shot. Absolutely, because you know you can't distance yourself from the athletes because they've done that before, where they put people on stage without using drugs, and you saw the talent. It was bad. You know, nobody wants to see the. No. I'm sorry. You know, again, you watch football because you want to. You go to sporting events and events to see what you would like to be. You don't want to see people like you. So no one's going to drop down a $1,000 VIP pass to the Olympia to watch some guy that looks like he works out at Planet Fitness. You're going to need that. So they better start protecting these athletes and put things in systems, because can't keep having an athlete die every week. No. It's just not. It's not sustainable.
I'm pretty certain from the Jake Wood corner, there will be some pressure made to implement changes. I think the organization of the Mr. Olympia is really concerned right now, and this will go downhill very, very fast. Like our doctors said, you know, they have to do something now or never, or this will really, really have an impact in a negative way. So, yeah.
Do you guys ever remember having this many deaths in a year like this?
No,
never.
No.
No.
No, and then remember too, though. Now we're in, and you're right, Phil. No, never have. Even if there was half as many, but also too, everything's social media, so everything is in the. You can't hide from it anymore. You can't sweep these things under the carpet,
under the rug anymore. That's true. That's very true.
It's here, it's evident, and then the average person now picks it up. You know, it's you know, bodybuilding community is still a tight community, but now everybody has access to it. So again, same difference is when something like this happens. Now I got a whole bunch of, like I said, Monday morning quarterbacks. Right. If, but, then, when, shoulda, coulda. This guy's bad. Again, no, I don't know that. Like I said, don't. Again, not many people in this world, I think, should pass any judgment on anybody, and especially in the sport. And if you've been an athlete or just in general, easy with the passing judgments. I think we all can, you know, scathe that a little bit, because I'm sure people, you don't want people passing judgment on you or decisions you've made in your life either.
Right.
No. Like I said last time, we're here to educate, man.
Yeah.
With the situation, Doc, if they were to call upon somebody like yourself, what would you recommend as the procedure for these athletes to take prior to getting their active status, whether it's NPC or IFBB?
I think it's almost like you do at the NFL Combine. Thorough testing. You know, again, I'm just saying off the top of my head, even if they had to pay, like if we did an echocardiogram, a coronary artery calcium score, a CT angiogram, all the testing, you're probably looking at less than $3,000 in testing. And you're going to have a complete thorough cardiac workup along with just regular workup as well. I think you need, again, then send that person out. If you care about your athletes, you got to come down with some type of testing system. The athlete has to be be open to it as well. And that way, again, you keep yourself safe, because then as a federation, you can say all of our athletes go through this type of testing before we'll either, grant them to start the new season. And it should, again, as the season comes around, then do it annually, because again, see what's going on. And if you truly care, then pull the plug on somebody until we get them better. You know, I think, I don't know how feasible that is. I'm if I had a utopia to say what I would do, it'd be something to that effect. If you're a pro athlete, you're competing professionally, then this is what needs to be done, you know? And I don't think that's a lot of money when you're talking about the totality, you know, insurance or whatever happens. That's not a lot of money to make sure, you know, that open heart surgery that, you know, with the 6 bypasses Ian had, that's probably about $1 million. So $3,000 maybe worth of testing is a pretty fantastic value relative to the million that was spent, you know, on his behalf to keep him here with us today. You know,
people find money. People can always find money for what's important to them. I mean, I guarantee you, people don't bat an eye at what they pay for their supplements throughout the year. So it's when you're looking at it from that perspective.
And I've said that, you know, again, I appreciate you guys on here, but for me, bare bones minimum for me to have you as a patient for the year, you know, if you use your insurance, you'll get your labs done. You're looking at a $400 a year investment for me to look at your labs 4 times a year.
That's not much.
$400?
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
Not for that. No, that's nothing.
And if you don't have insurance and you live or you come to me, that's going to tack on another, I think. So for labs, that's me doing labs at my place and running the 55 labs that I run. I think that's going to cost you another $480. So at the end of the day, you're wrapped up into this. If you come to my office and everything's taken care of and you just pay the office, you're looking at $1,000 a year. So what were we looking at? $80-something a month to manage your health.
Well, trust me, guys are spending that much more than that on gear, right?
Spend that on milk. You spend that on eggs.
Yeah.
Jesus. So that's what I'm saying. And that's where, again, you get the misnomer sometimes. Oh, well, something like that's why I opened my practice the way I did, because I can show you can deliver health care for a very affordable price and not have to always, if you don't have, somebody doesn't have insurance, you don't need insurance. It's $1,000 for the year for me to draw your labs and to review your labs honestly. Okay. And again, to me, like I said, that's all that needs to be said. If you can't do that, then you kind of, you know, you're playing with borrowed time. So it's like my old man used to always tell me, look, man, I don't care what you do in life. I just don't want to hear the bitch about it. You know, if you smoke, but I don't want to hear that you're short of breath. So same difference. You want to be a bodybuilder, an athlete, and you want to put chemicals in your body or whatever you want to do. Well, please just don't play your sob story when something goes wrong, because you do have access now. And I have patients all over the world. It's very simple to do.
As an online trainer, I need to get more strict and not just ask for a blood test. You know, I need to really ask for that stuff, and or I just can't take you on as a client. You know, so it's not all just money. I need to take my lesson from what I heard or what I was reminded of in this hour here. So I will definitely take a piece from that.
Good.
Awesome. Well, on a positive note, Lou Ferrigno just turned 70. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
So there is some positive to this. If Big Lou can make it to 70, a lot of us can, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So, but that's all I got, guys, unless you all got some more.
Again, I tell you, each and every one of you, thank you for listening to me ramble. Like I said, it's my passion in making sure not only are my athletes, but everybody's taken care of. Like I said, you're right. You know, I can't agree with you more, Jason. I hope that on the podcast, at least when I'm on as well, and I listen to you all the time, you guys' information is great. But again, it's information. There's no judgment. I don't care about all that. I just want you guys to know kind of what the hell's going on, you know? And it's sad that for the past 2 weeks, I've had to be on the show relative to people having major health concerns. It was pretty cool coming on and talking about diets and talking about, you know, nutrition, or just talking about old school bodybuilding and stuff. Now I'm on here because people are kicking off left and right, and it's still an issue. So maybe someone listens to this show and takes the advice of every one of you guys on here. You know, maybe we become better with our clientele. Maybe again, somebody listens and something changes. And I think that's the impact of what you're doing. So again, I appreciate you in this.
Yeah. As long as one person, if we change one person to make them healthy, that's all that matters.
So.
And hopefully, Doc, I won't need you next week. Although we love having you on.
In a more relaxed role. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got my on-call number. So
that's right.
That's another tragedy. I'll be here next Thursday at 8.
Just watch for my posts. All right, guys.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you again, everybody. John Pierre, it's a pleasure meeting you and all the other guys. Good seeing you again. If you need anything, Jason knows how to get a hold of me. You guys reach out to me for anything that you need. Okay.
Again, if anybody needs the doc, they can direct message me and I'll put your information at the bottom of the video. So.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Thanks. Bye.